All right, so I'd also like to talk about sound selection. It's a very important part of cloud-based music production because essentially these services give producers access to massive sample libraries. They're actually so big that one could never sit there and go through all of the sounds all at once, so you have to do a bit of curating. And to do that, I'll demonstrate on Splice. This is Splice's sound searching interface. It's a standalone desktop program. And any sort of given sound you might like to include, say routinely in your music, it's worth going through and finding a bunch of these sounds on Splice. So for example, I might type in vocal and select the one-shots search filter rather than the loops search filter. Again, the one-shots here, so they are short samples. And then I would go through and I would find sounds that I like. And for any of these sounds which I actually enjoy, I can simply just take them, drag them onto a drum rack instrument or sampler in Ableton, and then it becomes a part of that sampler instrument. So what I've done is I've already prepared a vocal one-shot instrument. So every one of these sounds pretty much is a vocal one-shot. There are 16 sounds loaded onto this preset, and I'll take you through a few of them. They would sound like this. And then what I would do is I would take these sounds and I would jam with the song while it actually plays. So I would do something like this. And some of those sounds work very well. Some of those sounds are complete clashes and they don't work whatsoever. So what I can do is figure out what sounds work well and then incorporate those into a new instrument, which is even sort of further curated than the first instrument. The first instrument would just be sounds that I like. The second instrument, in this case, would be made up of sounds which I like that also apply to this production. In this case, I found that one of the vocal samples that I had landed upon sounded really good if I pitched it to a few key frequencies. So here are what those sound like. And then what I would do is I would play those while the track plays, and I would record those inputs. So for example, something like this. And how the days will run away over the hill. I'll be there still till my heart beats still. I'm going to turn that up a little bit so you can hear it better. And like any recording, I would just keep the parts that I like the most, throw out the parts that I don't within this MIDI data here. And what I landed upon was something like this. I think the key, however, is to actually jam with the track that you're creating, jam with the parts that are already available, whether they be acoustic guitars, keyboards, or otherwise. I think it's just really good to get a live performance feel out of some of these electronically produced, recorded, or created sounds.